Hey, good morning, everyone. This sweet camera quality. It's pretty cool. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. It's March 1st. Back on stream this Friday. Um, I want to cover some of the news before we dive into the plan for the day, right? And then we'll hand over to Boxy and see what we are cooking for a while. But let's look at some of the news that we have going on so far. There has been some recent market activity that has broken to the upside. I remember yesterday we had talked about the PC figures that weren't as crazy as we had thought. Well, what I thought, right? I thought that'd be hotter numbers realistically. And when we got those, I guess not as spicy, not as hot numbers from the PCE. Market just initially rallied and we got that momentum burst to the upside. Yesterday there was a decent little pullback throughout the day, but into the end of the day they just rocketed back and sustained a new bounce to the upside, something that I want to go over and discuss from a volume perspective today. But some of the news that I've seen on the overnight session, not necessarily super intertwined with the immediate overall market, but in terms of some specific equity names, like some tobacco names and whatnot, there are many factors in setting drug policies around the world, which often center around the benefits and detriments to a society and its economy. So one of the side stands regulations that can create new tax revenues, expand jobs, limit criminal behavior, and reduce costs related to enforcement. And on the other side, arguments have been made for protection against addictive and dangerous substances and maintaining public order, and the adverse effects on mental health and innocent lives. So interestingly, many countries and regions are backpedaling on some of their recent decisions that they've made, which can have some major impacts and effects on corporate bottom line. So, in terms of smoking in New Zealand this week, they reversed a ban on tobacco sales to younger generations that was effectively going to come into effect in July. The government repealed a law passed under the former prime minister and their administration that would have banned people who were born after January 1st, 2009 from buying cigarettes for their entire lives. And health department officials said that the coalition government was committed to reducing smoking, but planned on using different strategies instead of mandating the world's first smoke-free society. So Thailand also just announced that it would ban the use of recreational cannabis by the end of the year, citing the negative impacts of misuse and risks of leading to other drugs in the long run. So it's a big reversal for the first Asian nation to decriminalize pot, especially on a continent where many countries impose a long prison term or even death sentences for cannabis possession or trafficking. Around 20,000 Thai pot shops sprung up in the recent years, and in an industry that has been forecast to be worth upwards of $1.2 billion by 2025. In terms of hard drugs, right, I know that in Portugal they're decriminalized, but over in the US, right, over 3 years after the US state decriminalized things like heroin, meth, cocaine, and psychedelics, Oregon is getting some second thoughts. Governor Tina Kotek has declared a fentanyl state of emergency while lawmakers are in the middle of repealing Measure 110 with opioid overdoses tripling since 2020. Currently, penalties are attends a treatment screening or calls on hotlines for addiction services. There's a maximum fine of $100, and so on. So, like I said, this doesn't necessarily have too much of an impact on the immediate market, but one of the names that I do, I don't know, right? This is more of a moral investment, I guess, but one of the names that I do like that I've held for a while is Altria, right? MO, the tobacco group, right? It's a very sideways. Realistically, it's not a massive winner, but the dividends are pretty solid. I think like they pay around 8% divvy. So this is the one that I've been holding. I don't know. I don't necessarily think that smoking is going to go away anytime soon, personally, but those are just my thoughts. In terms of other news, right? U.S. stock market ended higher on Thursday, right? That's the big news. After a late session push helping the Nasdaq post a new record high. On the overnight session, we peaked a new record high coming into today's session. That hadn't necessarily been seen on the Nasdaq 100 on the Composite Index, hasn't been seen more than 2 years right ago. So market participants were underrated by hotter PC inflation data and the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, which met expectations, showed little progress as central banks fight to push inflation down to its 2% goal. So seasonality is also playing a factor in January numbers. Cooling incomes and spending against inflation will moderate again in the coming months, leaving the door open for the June rate cut. So we've seen that the probability of rate cuts has been dropping, I wouldn't say exponentially, but step by step realistically. I guess people can't hear me that much. Is it like super bad? Sound is good. I mean, well, a lot of people are saying sound is fine. I don't know. I'll see if it persists. Maybe we can change something. But in terms of the rate cuts, right? We had before the year began, we had the originating expectations that the March rate cut was going to be the first one. It's now March. I think it's near 0% probability that something like that's going to happen. And then now it's going to be June, the first rate cut to be June, and they're still forecasting 2 to 3 rate cuts by the end of the year. So they're going to have to start cutting very aggressively, realistically. In terms of some other news, I don't have too much else to talk about. Today we have some ICM manufacturing PMI. We've got Fed Waller speaking at 10:15, so that's the majority of the news. Everything else doesn't seem like it's very high. What is it called? High impact. So it's not going to be something that I'm going to really watch for too much. In terms of other things, right? Some Tesla news popped up. In a move that can lead to curbs on auto parts, President Biden has directed Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo to investigate connected vehicles amid national security risks, and he warned that such vehicles from China could collect sensitive data about U.S. citizen and infrastructure as they could be remotely accessed. So the probe would be Washington's latest move to protect U.S. manufacturing against Chinese cyber attacks following an executive order on maritime cybersecurity. Experts have also raised alarms and alarm bells on China's hacking capabilities, while Tesla's Elon Musk previously said that China car makers will demolish foreign rivals if there are no trade barriers. I looked into this. What was that? What was the number one China car maker? I'm gonna have to look it up. I think they're making BYD. They're making a move into Europe, and in China they're pretty well priced. But I looked at some of the European price. They're not super attractive, to be honest with you. But they look pretty cool, honestly. They look cooler than Teslas to me. So here's Tesla, right? Just a little name. We've constantly failed to really fill the gap. We're grinding higher and higher and higher, but the fact that we're above this 200 area right now could spark some upside. It's just one of those things that's been lagging in comparison to a lot of its counterparts. One of the other things that I've noticed over the past few days is how Apple's been behaving. Apple on the downside, realistically, have been Apple moving to the downside against a lot of the other big equity or big tech names has kind of I've been looking at it for a while. Potentially a leader potentially doesn't mean too much, because the other argument can be made is that, you know what, like a lot of the other names have AI backing them, so they've just been continuously rallying. Apple doesn't really. It tried to get into that space earlier this week when it said, you know what, slash the EV cars, what we're going to do is focus on AI. And there was an immediate rally, but nothing really came from it. So I'm going to be watching this one closely. It could be telling us something that the other equities necessarily aren't, that are kind of in bubble territory, if you will. So yeah, with that, I'll go over the difficulties with the sound. Someone actually mentioned in the comments, sounds good here. For people having issues, try closing the window and restarting it. A lot of people are saying it's low, a lot of people are saying it's high. I don't know. Or not high, but 8 lemons. Everyone's saying sounds good. I don't know. I'm not sure. Try just increasing it more. Put Steven on here.
So the VWAP sitting at 79.20, and so you can see that trend traders, we have no trend on. The trends are mixed. If we stay down below the 79.58, they're actually going to go negative. Looks like we want to do a run for the VWAP. So as far as next best trades, because there's not a trend, you should probably treat everything as a fade, which means smaller size, tighter stops, faster take profit. If you want a roulette trade, you could toss on a short here with an idea that we're going to run down here and hit the VWAP, but it's a total roulette trade. I mean, you're really just betting red or black and spinning the wheel. Um, I think as far as anything with confirmable, you know, highs, for the long side, you at least need the open 79.73. Break the open to the upside on the retrace. You can get long. If you want to be conservative about that long, you're going to need a higher high. So you're going to need to see a Globex high, let it retrace, and then hope that it starts trending again. But regardless, whatever you do, just be cautious in this market. We'll watch and trade it. Let me know what's up. Torio, back to you.
Perfect, thanks. How's the audio? Can you guys? Is it still not like? I'm asking people on the stream realistically, because people were saying that it might be kind of shitty on YouTube. YouTube quality has an issue. Zoom is all good. Huh? Audio is good. I don't know, man. It's like 50-50 at this point. I can't. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, um, let's look at the Nasdaq at the S&P yesterday into the end of the day. I was looking for some longs. There was just huge buying yesterday back into one of the key areas on the S&P, which looked like too good to be true. It wasn't like absorption. It was just heavy buying. That's what I was. If you guys went and watched the review video that I posted yesterday, explanation to the massive buying that had occurred into the end of the day into these like mid low 90s. So um, when I'm looking at this on the overall S&P here yesterday, what we had was the PC report. You get like an immense amount of volume back into the low band of this distribution, and then immediately prices just shoot up. Right, no pullback. I was looking for a slight little deeper retrace before prices started running back up, but that wasn't the case. And then yesterday, we had a smaller pullback before into the end of the day over here. You can see there's very, very heavy volume right at this area into this like between 92 and 95 area on the S&P. Massive, massive clustering of volume. And what was happening on the order flow perspective was just constant market buyers coming in with very large market sellers, but the reaction was a slow step to the upside, right, leading to the bull side. Looking at this for an expansion higher and the acceptance, excuse me, above that mid 90 area to go and tag some of these other regions into that 10, into that 12. So right now we're back into the top area of this larger distribution. So the way I see it is, um, I wouldn't want to see them pull back necessarily into that mid to low 90, but that's the area that should consistently hold if we're going to see some upside. We're still pinned in this area, so there's heavy volume on the sell side coming into this like 10, 12 at the highs on the S&P, and then the 92 area, 93 looks like a pretty decent range bound support to see if we can run this higher. It's Friday, right? The expectation is you have all of this immense buying from yesterday's close and throughout yesterday's session to try and hold this out, to springboard this up, and otherwise, right, looking for a new all-time high today. That's what I want to be positioned for. Anything back under this 90, realistically, you're probably just going to sink back into a larger range, and it's going to be kind of shitty and boring. So that's what I'm looking at on the S&P. The Nasdaq is a bit stronger, in my opinion, here. Let's take a look at this Nas. Shit, where'd this thing go? So with the Nas, right? Nas, this is prior highs. Prints a high on the overnight session, and pulls back really aggressively. Honestly, both the S&P and the Nasdaq pulled down pretty aggressively at some point on the overnight before they bought that dip. Right, the dip into that 0.35, 0.40 top band of this distribution still holding. I had to buy it twice on the pre-market session, but that's fine. It's still running up. There's an area of interest into the 0.90 on Nasdaq, and then up here as we start getting into that like 10 to 120, right? And a lot of volume starts to build up from the overnight session close to that 130, expecting that to be as a target to the upside, but also hold as some kind of resistance. I don't think we're immediately going to flash above it, otherwise there's going to be some strong buy side. So with the Nasdaq, I'll be watching like 0.60 to start with, to print a slightly higher high, for us to get that continuation to the upside, because you start breaking under 0.30, right? I expect larger drops, and that would kind of ruin the start of the month and the end of the week for us. So it's not something that I would like to see from these buyers that had all come together yesterday into the close and started really buying this like crazy. So I want higher lows on both S&P and the Nasdaq to start the day before we can try and tag some of these resistance areas to the upside. So that's my main breakdown. Fatty's not going to be with us today. He's got drinking to do, so.
See, out at one of those desert parties for $100.
Probably, yeah. In a desert party, I'd imagine myself having one beer and passing out. It's probably so hot there.
I would think so.
It'd be brutal, but it sounds fun anyways. What was it, like $100 you rent like an ATV for the day and then they just give you unlimited booze? Was that the deal?
Yeah, 100 Canadian, so it's like 10 cents.
The pennies on the dollar. Slightly jealous. The weather is pretty shit here in Bulgaria. Well, it's not like, it's just raining. Not raining, actually. It's just like super cloudy. Oh, yeah. Anyways, let me know if you have any questions. We got a decent bit of time until this market opens here. Yeah, for the ES, realistically, like anything under 92.90, if that starts aggressively offering, I don't necessarily want to be just constantly long until we see levels below that. Into the like 10-ish, into the 12, it's going to pose some kind of resistance as well, realistically. Can I minimize this somehow? The extensive drop around like 4 a.m., I think 5 a.m., I don't know exactly what time it was, Eastern time. A little cumbersome as that volume built up into that high, then just like nuke this back down. A lot of people were talking about like market on close orders yesterday. They were like, oh, like billions and billions sell by market on close. It's not like, it's just big orders that come in at the close. It happens every day. Like it's, yesterday the reaction was a bit extensive, but doesn't mean anything. I have have those AMD calls from a few weeks ago. It exploded yesterday, and they're up pre-market almost $200 now. Oof. I think Brian's on board for that. The market on close orders is just like a repositioning from like big money that has to get orders in. It's nothing material. They're just big orders that like traders execute. It's not like a limit order, they're just market orders that they execute at their price just to get the last possible trade in for the day, right? Big orders get active at the end or at the beginnings. And at the end, right, those big sizes come in, whether they're positioned for hedges or like some clients, like, you know what, like you need to sell 1,000 S&P, like I don't really care what the price is, blah, blah, blah. Or like if it reaches this price on like certain closes, just dump it. Nice, Brian. You booked 80% on that AMD. I wonder what it's at now. It closed around $14 a contract. I think I picked them up around 4, if I'm not mistaken. Or no, maybe like 6-ish. Morning, morning. Everyone that's coming in now. One minute. What platform is this? This Sierra chart. The classic futures platform. MSA shirts coming soon. 3 to 5 years, there's the market open. Nice bid off the open. It's going monster bid off the open. Let's see. I'm still long from the pre-market and some from overnight. Coming back into the block of interest around this 12 potentially. I guess like 15 had like some stuck longs at the tops. Nasdaq into that 18,120. That's a pretty big area too. Not that I'm saying start shorting this right now, but it's a good area if you're long on Nasdaq to look to trim some. Yeah, Mike, you missed it. Fatty's drunk ATVing in the desert. Let's see, a lot of volume build up, a lot of positive delta. Well, overnight positive delta into the 10. I'd pull this stop up, honestly. It's up like 17 points. Or even just cut it. Nas running. Oh, Nas up immensely. 100-point move on Nas from the overnight. There's, like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily trying to like reverse this position, close this and get short. If I close this, I'm just gonna close it. It's like 2 minutes off the open. Watching Nasdaq closely because we're coming back into the region of heavy volume from the overnight. The S&P as well. You can see we're at that heavy volume value area high region here. Let's see. Not really too much on this. There's some news that comes out in, what time is it? In like 25 minutes.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, George. Boxy and Vicky. Boxy, you sound like you had a late night last night too, buddy. I have a late night every night.
That's it.
That's good. What are you guys up to? I'm gonna just turn off the car 1 second. How's the market today, Vicky?
Not bad. Trying to move into a new high, it seems.
What's new, right?
It's getting a little top heavy here though.
I have a friend that works at Instacart, and he said his orders and his tips and everything is way down. Like his salary got cut in half.
just went flat these longs, honestly. Might go up a bit more, but I'm seeing some top heaviness right now. Kind of a failure to cooperate to the upside, like into the 130 on Nasdaq, that main resistance area. Like these guys are getting a little selly here. I think between 130 135 there's an opportunity to look for a little short.
Hey, Spatey's not here today. Let's talk a little bit of shit about him. Yesterday he calls me, Mickey, and he was so excited that short worked out.
No, the short worked.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, George, I caught the 20 points. He's going for 5 minutes. I love Beatty.
I might want to short this S&P as well.
Setting up for it, eh?
Oh shit. 1 second, I clicked the wrong side of this. I don't know if I missed this. Maybe I should have just held that market order. I'm short the Nasdaq though, but like this S&P, I kind of marketed in, then I flattened it to get a better fill, and then that was kind of pulling down. That was kind of a mistake. But Nasdaq, I'm in the short the 135 right now. It's up like 20 handles, but this S&P, that was a user error. Oh, like 30 points on this Nas.
Mickey, what I figured I'd do today, honestly, I had a terrible night, man. Sleeping without my family. I'm back home in Toronto. They're in Miami with like a funeral. So what I think I'll do is just hop through the Q&A today, and then I don't have any market commentary at the moment.
Okay.
Why are you sleeping without your family? My wife finally had enough of me, boss. No, I'm kidding. It's a bad joke. I came back. Anyway, it's a long story. Basically, I came back. I was going back out on Monday. Lost my wallet. I had to get cars, driver's licenses, and do a few errands.
You lost your wallet, jeez.
Yeah, and we're selling our house, so I had to come back and meet with a real estate agent and start listing it.
The wallet is shit.
Oh, no, they're deeply so Indian. I'm like, I know, they're in the wallet.
Fuck.
Yeah, my brother owns that.
I'm gonna wait on this ES potential back short because I had it. I had it. That was stupid. I clicked the wrong side of this. I clicked the wrong button on this dumb. Nasdaq worked pretty well here. Mike says one and done. Good work. What the hell is this guy talking about? Wait, George,
I've been
where'd
on
you?
Newstalk forever. They have a channel just for the economic news. That's it. And you can mute the other stuff
Yeah,
if you don't want it.
like what the hell was that? You just told me what was up and what was down tonight.
Yeah, you're trading. You know what's up and down.
Yeah, like, I don't need that information.
The markets are watching, you know.
My God. What? Where'd you say you lost your wallet?
In the Miami Airbnb, I think it fell. Like I was returning a car late at night, getting another rental car. Long story there too, and I think my wallet fell. And they couldn't find it. I can't find it. Took an Uber. Could be a lot of places, but I just was looking for it. No one used my cards, so I thought they would return it or something, but I lost hope.
It's like in a bush somewhere then.
Yeah.
So what happened to me, man? I was getting out of a car. I was in Cyprus or Greece, and like my phone fell out of my pocket into a bush, and
Oh,
like I had find my phone. I was like we had gone somewhere for the day, and I was like, where the hell's my phone? I used find my phone on my computer, and it was just like it's in this bush.
You dropped it into a bush.
Yeah. Like 6 hours later, it was like pitch black. I was like, oh, it's still here. Nice.
I know. You stopped to reconsider the events you went to the previous night. Like, wait, did it leave in that bush?
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? Where'd this phone go? I was like, oh my god, it's lost forever.
Yeah, wallets are terrible to lose, man. You know why? Because I use Apple Pay now, so I barely carry my wallet. But then the one time I forget it's on me, so I'm not looking for it, you know? So it's Apple Pay's fault, basically, is what I'm saying.
Someone just mentioned get an Apple tag.
Yeah, now I'm looking for a wallet with an AirTag pocket, and I'm gonna AirTag it. Or is there an actual Apple wallet? I don't want the one that goes in the back of your phone that falls off. They have wallets that have it already in it, and it connects to an app on your phone. And if you get too far away from your wallet, your phone alerts. Oh, that's what I'm getting. Yeah, sure. And now I'm probably gonna have a few scams calling me and people trying to use my identity to do some dumb shit. So I'm gonna be on super high alert for a little bit if somebody found it. Oh well, it's life, guys.
God damn, I had that short on the ES too. I just fucking fat fingered it. That was bullshit. That was short that 08, like 2, 09 even. Then that was just dumping. Fat fingered it, close a position, then couldn't enter again. Pfft, what an idiot.
Network sales set for May 21st. And also for Lufthansa, separate Reuters news. Lufthansa expects EU antitrust warning over the ITA deal soon and is ready remedies, according to Reuters sources.
This day is shaping up to be like choppy. I guess there is news that comes out at 10, but like, will it create that big of a move? I doubt it. I got a little stuck into this 03. So when I asked what confirmation do I use to enter trades, a lot of the DOM, like while I was looking for the short into that 910 when I closed that long, they were just like there was a lot of uh, buying that had built up, right? A lot of people buying, especially on the overnight. There was heavy delta on the buy side and balanced on the buy side, but then like sellers were like coming in. When an offer hit the book at like 9 3/4, here you can see 400s against the buyers, and it dumped. Like that was a decent little signal to look for that short. I think like on the Nas is a bit happier here, but the ES. I think with Nas, like as long as it holds 040, 030, there's a potential for this to hold a resistance. Or sorry, not 140 on Nas. And the ES could have had a short on now. That's annoying.
10 seconds.
Alright, 10 seconds until some nonsense, I guess.
Manufacturing PMI, I think.
Oh, it's at 940.
Spot 2, that's revised up on the initial 51.5 reading. Speak over manufacturing PMI 52 spot 2, revised up from 51.5. And now has laid the groundwork for the ISM manufacturing June just under 15 minutes.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking of. Heavy delta on the buy here into this 107. failed buyer. Let's see.
Vicky, question for you. So you say you use a Dom to qualify trades. Like, what if the Dom qualifies them and changes really quickly after? You don't scrunch. Like, what's the downside? Like, do you stay in the trade if, let's say, what you qualified on the Dom starts to break down and the trade hasn't gone yet?
Yeah, usually I do. Like I'm under like for me my thought process is like it's I'll in the long run, right, if I take 100 trades and if all those 100 trades are left up to my full discretion based on what I think is happening, I'll probably have like a pretty bad win rate. But out of those 100 trades, if I just let what happens happen based on what I originally think, based on like the qualification, I think the win rate's gonna be higher than if I just leave it up to full discretion.
Yeah. The trust the plan. You're playing the long game here.
Yeah, like it was like yesterday for example, like I got long like 5100 and it looked okay, then like they started getting stuck at like 3 4 points higher. I was like, I am getting stopped out, there's 100% guarantee, but I didn't do anything about it.
It's funny. Well, you never know, right? Like at the end of the day, it may have.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like it looks like terrible, but who knows? Like sometimes I get away with it. Those are very rare occasions, but like yesterday I was like, if I don't get stopped out on this, it's just pure luck at this point.
That's funny. You know what's good about that too? You only really have to really go hard on analyzing the data once.
Yeah.
Again, right? And then when you're getting out, where it's like discretionary, you're constantly looking at new info and you can burn out and make wrong decisions.
Yeah, if I'm like deep in profit and it's more discretionary, then like fine, whatever. Like if I miss out on collecting like 2 3 points here and there, it's not the end of the freaking world.
Yeah, exactly. It's less damaging to manage a winning trade for sure.
Yeah.
Once you've already locked in, that's easier.
The like Raj asking about this '09. Like I missed this ES short honestly. Like even if it got up to '09, I don't think it will. But I was short '08. You guys saw it. I by accident flattened the position. I'm still short 135, 140 on Nasdaq. Right, it's down about 30, 40 handles right now. The ES though, that was fucking stupid. Anyways. How do I watch Delta? I like to watch Delta based on the profile on the current session. So like as it shapes up, it gives me an idea of how the imbalances trade, like Delta in relation to the market orders that come in. Um, so like for example, what I just noticed as we were talking, right? The level wasn't the best in my opinion, but when that 107 comes in, right, a big market buyer steps into the market, they immediately reoffer it. Delta gets created, 1,000 orders, right? There's a lot of buyers that are trying to come in, market buyers that are stepping in, and they just can't go higher, right? For me, if offers come in, those guys are imbalanced and stuck, and you're probably going to want to see that downside move. Even though like we're in a position to look for longs here, we're at an area where they're overextended, and it's not in an area that I'm super confident in buying. If you're not short like the 0910 on the ES from the beginning, just wait. Like if it gets back up there, I'm not gonna blindly short it.
Hey guys, so Vicky and I are recording a podcast today. I was
Hmm.
wondering if you had any questions that you think would make a good episode that we could ask Victorio, because I know sometimes he can't answer them fully while he's in five trades at the same time. But I think on a podcast format, we have a really good discussion with him. So
10 minutes in news. Why am I not already in Egypt? That's an easy question. I have some legal documents and work to do in Bulgaria that I have to be here for the next
He's got
bit.
a long beard and he's worried
Yeah,
about it.
they're not gonna let me in or out. We'll see. Yeah, I technically can't leave the country for a bit. That's the only reason.
Actually, what happened?
No, nothing bad. I just have to get this like legal work done for like some transfer shit, and like
Oh, I get
I
you.
just have to be
Yeah,
here like
same.
random weekends or random days. So like if I leave for a week, like it's not worth it.
That's gonna be when you need to be there.
Yeah, exactly.
The moment you leave is when you're gonna have to
Yeah.
be.
So I just want to get this done and then
Good stuff.
I'm looking at these like the sellers don't have like too much pressure on them. Like or I mean, they're not causing a threat. They're not putting too much pressure on this market. You'll get like an offer, then it like down ticks a bit. It swings back up. It's just kind of a range. So I gotta wait. Like, you want to be aggressive about this. You short anywhere in the vicinity of this 0607. One second, let me draw it out. Like, you look at the idea here that they re-offered and they got stuck in this block, and you have stops above, and then secondary you try it short there, right? Those seem to be like two of the viable options here on the ES. And then your targets aren't like super heavy to the downside. Targets like probably 5100, and then lower into that like 95, 94. Why would I lead on the delta as a trap buyer? Um, because if they're gonna hold an offer and like a sell from that area, they shouldn't get above it. Yeah, we also have news in 5 minutes. Probably wait that out.
Wait, where'd you see that question in the Q and A?
It's on the YouTube stream.
Oh,
Are you driving, George?
yeah, I am. I'm just coming back from Starbucks. Needed to start the day.
Oh, I meant down to Florida, but yeah, fair.
Oh, I remember now. Yeah, I am, man. I am driving down to Florida. 26 or 27 hours. So that's why I kind of had to get at least a copy of the driver's license.
That's fair.
And then get my summer tires put on, which is gonna be fun. Driving through 12 hours of winter conditions in summers. Probably don't need winter tires in Florida. Yeah, exactly. It's like if I go with winter tires, they're gonna get chewed up. I'll need to change them within like 2 weeks. Not even. People there will just going. Look at you really funny. What's that, Waxy? Is that people there will look at you very funny. Yeah, yeah. They'll be like, what kind of tires are these? That could be like the joke about doing something wrong. It's like starting, you're drew up a trade. It's like that trade was like starting a winter tire store in Florida, in Miami. They have no idea what winter tires are. Like, wait, why would you change your tires? She said to put chains on. Going to Miami, put the chains on your tires. Vicky, you still got some NASDAQ running?
Yeah, I
It looks
do.
like S&P very early on today gave you the signal that.
Yeah, well, I had the short on the S&P. I just flattened it by accident.
Oh, that's what you're saying with the fat finger.
Yeah. The fill was 08 half, 08 three quarter, and I was trying to fill some at 9, and I just flattened everything by accident. I was like, yeah, perfect. There's also news in 3 minutes, that's why I'm not doing anything on this. And like, will it change everything? Probably not, but can it jolt the markets? Probably. That's what I meant in terms of trying to short the O7s. Like, leaning on that big delta. I don't know if you understood what I meant. Like, someone was asking about that.
If you did hold on to the short, Vicky, would you still would you hit your first target?
Yeah, I would have been out at least one by now. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it dropped down to what, 02? Yeah, it would have been out one.
Right in
And
the
then,
middle of this range.
yeah. The market's been treacherous over the last like 2, 3 weeks. The movement non-existent. Which is fine. Pick up key areas and be on your way.
Yeah, less good trades, maybe more patience.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Can go south fast because like there's not crazy opportunity. You miss like one or two and then you start taking shitty trades.
Yeah, it sucks, dude.
Seconds. Ooh. Well, that was indeed a jolt. Holy shit.
Gonna say sounds like a miss. Everyone's happy for rates.
Yeah, what the hell?
Less jobs in the economy. Let's buy all the stocks.
There you go. Get long. I'm gonna start shorting this again, honestly. If I can get that.
I think we might be coming into like a broader pullback too, not
feel like there's a bit of time until that, though. I feel like we go into some new highs and get everyone nice and FOMO'd into this.
Closing on a high on Friday, everyone celebrating Monday.
Yeah, Black Monday.
Yeah, happened before.
How's the issue with this short is like you got these like thicker buyers between '07 and like '06. I might have been a little late on that. Need to offer under '07, '06.
Reference, the median Fed SCP at the December meeting for 2024 GDP was 1.4%. And we did also get US construction spending data for January. That declined 0.2%. We were looking for a rise of spot 2%.
These guys keep buying into that '07 where the delta's happy now. Like, it's an area of caution. If we can't offer under that, under '07, '06, like this thing's probably busted. Buyers stepping back into this. This news, they're still holding on to this. That's annoying. Oh. Alright, Mr. Offer, let's see if I'm screwed or not. I like this NAS around that 152. Okay, that's a nice move.
Yes, Vicky!
Finally. Those guys are getting a little too trapped on that, though. That's nice. Should probably clean some off on this. There you go.
Such a good feeling, dragging a limit, a target right in, late to the price. Oh.
And then down here into the 102s, realistically, this is a good target region. NASDAQ up about 25 points on that 150 short as well. This is looking pretty solid. Now, whatever happens to this last little runner, I'm not that pressed about it.
Just taking a look at pricing at 40-year across the whole of 2024, money markets coming into 88 basically. Before the data, we were at just steady 83 basis points.
Nice, Brian got a better fill. 51.11 on that S&P. There was a pretty fat bid on this, honestly. Like, these buyers are back at it. I don't know if I want to keep trying to short this. I feel like they had their chance. I'm out of that last runner as well here. when this thing popped up on that news, right, back into this like 115 immediately reoffered, I was I think I was just a little slow to react. I would have liked it a bit higher, so like when it came back down into these regions, you would have been a little better off. Um, the issue here right now with these offers is that they're getting absorbed back into this like 5102. Like technically speaking, as long as you're under that 5110, 5112, you can look for this downside press on the ES. But the lack of continuation as we come back into the overnight POC, hold it. I just haven't seen like an area that I'm super confident in trying to buy. I was buying the overnight and then now like pulls back to 5102 or whatever, and then I just like don't want to buy it. I don't know, but they held pretty well. Like nice bid, immediate bid comes in. That's why I was trying to clean off two of those three lots into that like '03 area. Look at that 109 as well. What had happened? That 5109 um, big buyer steps in, reoffers immediately. Like is good, but I'm not confident in the short right now. Like these guys bid it up way too quickly. We're back above all of these stuck longs, right, very easily. It's just annoying. These guys came into the 102 and then bid. Like they didn't want to pull a little lower. I think short's done. Rest of the day just goes constant bid. Like now, we've kind of flipped back above this area, right, where all that volume had picked out. You get the confirmation of like fairly immense buy side that triggered. Uh, at this point, I think this region between like '09 to like '07 should hold a decent bid if we're gonna project this thing higher. Every dip was getting picked up very viciously. I think we've kind of switched the what's it called, the bias here and the dom a little more to the buy side. If we get pullbacks into there, I'm gonna look for the lungs. Should have paid a little more attention to this. Like Nas holding well above that 130 now, right? I was short into that area, but we're running into highs on Nasdaq, right? Everything is we're stepping into buy the dip. Like the rebound and the rebid on off those lows on the S&P here. Like just I'm gonna be looking to buy some dips into new all-time highs. I think the S&P is gonna make a new all-time high today. That's kind of what I was looking for. But I want a little deeper pullback realistically to get on this long. Let's see what our friend the SPX is doing. Maybe I buy some options. Nice, Brian. Triple Q calls. Large buyer. Let it pull down, please. AMD 201, holy shit. Whew. Brian calls her up 120. That's nice. Take care, Mike. Enjoy. Do my micros and minis have a price discrepancy? They might. I don't think it's going to be 2 points, though. Like, it might be a tick or two, but 2 points seems like a lot. Yeah, what's the all-time high? Sorry, was it?
That would be an arbitrage if there was 2 points.
Yeah, I know, honestly. If there was that big of a discrepancy, arbit. Yeah, 51.23 or whatever it is, the all-time high. I think we break a new all-time high today on the S&P. It's just a matter of getting on board this thing. A lot of buying setting up back into this high area. If that was the pull down, that's going to be annoying. I'm honestly just waiting for that block that I had mentioned before, right? Because I was short into it. For me to flip, right, being short into this resistance area and flipping as it comes down and bids, and I just close the short and get along, a very difficult thing for me to do. So, like at this point, I'm not on the long. The long, I anticipate they sustain this area over here. On Nasdaq too, they failed on that last drop to break that 130, 122 heavily. They just started bidding this. That's gonna be annoying. Steve's first take profit is like 2 ticks below the all-time high.
What's the AKH, Mickey?
I think it's like 120, like 51.23 or something. I'm not too sure exactly what it is.
That blue box probably up top.
Yeah, it's somewhere there. It's not very exact, but yeah.
Sucks. So you always gotta wait for it to break and pull back. You're not locking anything.
I know. I know.
If it pulls back now, I don't know. I'm gonna buy it before that breaks.
Well, if it pulls back now, like maybe 09, 7, right? Like I don't mind.
Yeah.
Let's see how we
Maybe
do.
even a 10 to 12 because that area is where the cell broke down.
Yeah.
Trapped the birds.
Next thing you know, I'm buying them.
Buy the 12.
Next thing you know, I'm fucking marketing it now.
Yeah. Promise if you buy like the 10 to 12 and you get stopped out, and then it turns on the 7 and goes, you aren't really that surprised. You know, you think, yeah, well.
Yeah, then I'm buying it again.
Yeah. Mickey, are you down to do a podcast like pretty much as soon as the webinar ends?
Yeah,
Or are
yeah.
you like, oh, cool. I'm gonna get it set up with the software.
Cool. Go work, Mike.
Is that going up too?
Yeah, man, Nasdaq's at an all-time high right now. Like, I'm like I shorted this thing a few times. Like it worked pretty well. I'm not too pressed about it because if it doesn't come into my level, like for me to buy it all the time, it's just I don't know. Like coulda, shoulda, woulda. Like if I had bought that '07 as we were pulling back into it where those buyers were stuck, like I would have gotten stopped. So when I saw those big sellers, I was like, okay, I don't really want to buy it. When the buyers came in, I was already short, and for me to flip long from short is just like I'm not good at that, and that's just I've accepted that.
Key. That's a key card.
So now, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, I took a few shorts today. Worked out well. That's fine.
Plus, you can also see the week, like the 5 days of the week, kind of like the trade in itself, right? It's like the edges of the market have the most amount of noise, and it takes time for the trade to set up. I feel like Monday and Friday is the same, right? Mondays are a little noisy. Fridays are like people closing out or people chasing the market. You race the loss for the week.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
It was Friday. Friday, the classic is just the market opens, you start buying it, and then walk away for the rest of the day.
Yeah, exactly. The Warren Buffett.
Yep. Hold for 3 hours. Like I could buy it into this 15. There's a lot of volume that's holding on the buy side. Nice bids coming in, but where does that leave me? I don't know. Like if I buy the 15, the downside is like I get stopped and I have to buy it at the 9 and 8 again. Or I buy the 15, we just start ripping into a new high. It's just like how much risk do you want to put on this? If you want to try it twice or 3 times, go ahead. If you're okay with that mentality. Because they are buying it. It's more of an order flow move. There's a decent buy into this high.
That's also the beauty of this job is that you get to start the weekend early on a Friday, whenever you decide, right? I remember Reese was still working full time and I was trading full time, and then some days when she would leave later to get to the office, I'm like, oh, I'm done work. Have a good day, honey, kind of thing, you know. But it's the benefit of this that you don't have to sit here and keep trying stuff. It's also a good time to maybe be like, you know what, weekend seems appealing.
Futures markets are open like almost 24/7 too, and a lot of the movement happens in the EU session, so it's good for different times, realistically, in time zones. So like, I trade a decent bit of the EU session.
Friday's only Friday's after the 2 days you don't have an EU session, right? So,
Yeah, well, Friday afternoon, like, well,
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess like evening. I'd rather not be staring at this thing.
Thank God it closes. You know, I hope they never change that.
Well, SPX options are tradable like 24/7 now almost.
Oh my God.
I've had a
Wait,
few.
so what do you trade? What's the price based on when the SP is closed?
Like, either I'd assume futures.
But what if futures are closed too? I guess like the expectations of the futures of the future.
Well, yeah, the futures are closed, and like the SPX is probably closed.
Yeah, exactly. So
There's something in my teeth. I don't want everyone on this camera seeing me just floss myself.
you know, I think the hard part of trading is sometimes on a psychology kind of level is like we're taught that the harder we try, the better luck we're gonna have at something, you know. And I think with futures trading in general, it's like you can't you can control yourself, but you can't control what happens. So on the days where you're like super gung ho to do it, you're like motivated, you watch some like minute clip before the market opens, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do it, and then the market sucks. I think that's more dangerous.
No, for sure.
Not expecting anything, and the market's ripping, you know. Like I don't know, hopeful Fridays. I've had some really bad Fridays to the point that it's just you know earlier on obviously, but I still have a taste from those days. You gotta think about 2 days what a bonehead you were before you have a chance to do anything.
Yeah, I used to have shit Fridays too.
Yeah.
Looking at this, like, should I have been buying that 15?
What time do you start trading the EU, Vicky, the market, or like when it opens, like 3 a.m. Well,
Um,
10 a.m. I guess Bulgarian time.
do some freaking math here. Like, I. So, I guess Eastern time, between 1 and 3 a.m., I'll usually take my first look at it.
Oh, so that's pretty early in the morning in Bulgarian time.
Mm-hmm.
You wake up.
Yeah, it's like between 7 and 10, I'll have my first look at the market, probably. a.m. my time.
Nice. So it's a little different than preparing for the U.S. session, right? You probably do the same things, check news, the markets, do some analysis, and then
Yeah,
go from there.
by the time the U.S. session rolls around, like I already have a pretty good idea of like what's happening and whatnot. Like I'll get up, check the markets, go and do something, go to the gym or something, get some other stuff done, and then come back maybe around 2ish p.m. my time, so 7 a.m. Eastern, and then sit down, look at it again, eat, do my stuff, and then around 3 sit down again, 8 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, that's
Put some
like
trades on either
what you can do.
I either put some trades on in the morning or late at night for me, depending on like if anything makes sense.
What percentage of the gains of your account would you say come from outside U.S. hours?
Um, this year, starting 2024, honestly, maybe 70%, 60%. Yeah, like well, maybe not 70, but around 60. Like a small majority, like a tiny bit more than the US session. Because the EU, like, the way I trade it is I just like open a trade and then just kind of let it run with very wide take profits. And like there's usually some kind of decent move in the EU if I don't get stopped out.
Yeah, yeah. And the U session tends to be like one to two moves. It doesn't go in reverse. It go again and turn.
Yeah,
It's pretty firm, and where once it goes and it gets there, it just takes a little longer.
like yesterday into the close of the session when we were watching this thing, like I was on Discord and I bought like the 94 area and then I went to bed, woke up, it was up like a decent bit, closed a bit of it, then it pulled back again, and I was talking to Ryan in Discord. I was like, I'm just gonna buy this dip again, and then it ripped into the open of the session. That move from like 93 all the way up to that like 10 took about what like 4 hours or so. So like it's not like I was there sitting and managing it and doing anything to it.
Right. Yeah, yeah. All the work is when you get in, and then you just check up on it after once in a while. It's good, man. It's good. It's like the European session is definitely less likely to trigger some negative habits. I think it's more decisive, but slower.
Yeah, it's very slow. If you think you're gonna sit there and like trade it super actively, you're gonna waste a lot of time.
And money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teaches
Like
you patience.
I've tried that a few times, like trying to trade a little more actively, and it was just like horrendous. I was sitting there for like 2 hours, and like the thing had moved like 3 points. I was like, oh my god, it was a waste of a day at that point.
But you get to the point when you watch it that actively that you convince yourself that if you win 3 points, you're gonna make $1 million. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it becomes
you're like, oh my god, this is the
three
biggest win
points
ever.
becomes like yeah, like the Hail Mary trade.
Yeah,
Like I got 3 points.
3 points.
uh,
And then you sit there, you're like, do I close it? Do I not close this? The EU, it's not gonna move that much, or is it gonna move a lot? And then you're like, oh my god.
that's the thing too. There's too much time to think, and that's not always a great thing either, right? Like
Yeah.
you overthink it easily. I don't know. They're different. I think anyone who trades them needs to understand they're different. So I don't think you just go from only trading U.S. sessions, trying the European one, and doing the same thing you do in the U.S. sessions, expecting it to work. Like it's kind of almost like starting fresh, but obviously with a higher level of understanding, you know. But there's a period where you guys just watch it, acclimatize to it, because yeah, I used to trade the EU session on currencies all the time. Wake up at 3 in the morning, but it's hard, man. Throws off your whole schedule.
Yeah, realistically, I don't think like you have to trade both sessions, right? If you're trading both sessions, the majority of the time you've done poorly on one of them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Amen to that. I don't know. Maybe you could even start with like during the week, just opening a position and letting it run, fixed risk, fixed reward. Just let it go, and then that way you could, capitalize on some of the action while you learn
Hmm.
as well. I think people in the U.S. It's cool. You wake up and you get to see what happens.
Yeah. And like you don't really miss much when you like when I wake up, like what would have happened overnight realistically in those like 6 hours like into about 12 a.m. Like probably nothing. Like the moves start happening when the people in the UK start waking up.
Exactly. That 6 hours on a bar chart sometimes, brother, is like one candle. You know, I've seen that.
Yeah, exactly. If you're on a range chart, yeah, it's like
Right.
nothing. Like it hasn't even moved. But this early exit pull up while I wait for this thing to maybe pull back, maybe not.
You got your 12s to make you load up, buddy.
15, 15.
Oh,
Buy
is that
it.
15? Oh, I have
Yeah.
to zoom. Okay, now.
Buy it mentally.
Ah, 12, 15,
Yeah,
20.
same, same. Just keep buying. Solid seller came into this. I'll watch Nasdaq back into that 130, 140 area. S&P. Let's see if it wants to dip under this 15. Otherwise, like, if you can't offer 15, it's time to buy this shallow pullback. Might even do it. Or maybe I'm late on this. It's a one touch
Sounds
bounce.
like a boredom trade, brother.
Outside. I'll buy it twice, but they bid it a decent. They bid it okay there. I feel like I might have missed it. If it one touch bounces, I'm like, go for it.
Yeah, it looks like it failed at the prior high. Didn't take it out really. So I mean, doesn't have to the first time, but. But we also know how these Fridays go, right? They'll break, and then it'll make it seem like it's so hard to break that high, it's struggling, and the sellers come in, it rotates. Then it breaks, then you check it like close to the afternoon, and it's just gone vertical for the whole day. So you get it.
Yeah.
There's a reward for sure. It used to happen to me. I used to get chopped up in this bullshit till 11:30, and then like whatever. Like I made a little bit of money. Yeah, I might have overtraded, but at least I have some. And then you look in the afternoon, or even on the Monday the following week, and you look back on the Friday, you're like, holy! I just literally stopped trading when the thing exploded.
Yeah, I know.
So frustrating.
Those are the annoying days. On some Fridays, honestly, I just buy some shorter dated calls because like if it's in a scenario like this where they're just like propping up like a constant bid, I'll just like find an area and be like, all right, I'll risk XYZ% and then just like load up on some calls.
Go for it. Yeah. Brazilian finance minister says he believes discussions between the EU and Mercosur will be resumed in the second half of this year.
I'm watching these guys. Let's see if they hold this bid. I try to get in this. Should I just launch that order blindly lower?
You can't help it, eh? Once you train yourself as a trader, it's like you kind of feel like, okay, well, if I'm not doing this trade, why the hell am I looking at these charts?
Yeah, exactly.
Once you get them, you kind of have to take them.
Just mark it, and if it comes back into that area, I don't really want to wait for it to knife down like that. The fact that I missed this and I didn't have the limits in before that, I don't know how much I want to continue this day, it seems. I like them though. I wanna try one last long in some of these areas that I was mentioning. Like, let's see, maybe this like 12-10ish. They kind of almost traded on this last dump. Alternatively, down to 0709. See if we can just run it into the rest of the day. Like 500 go re-offer on the 14-13 area. A few stuck shorts.
Vic, you know how producers have tags? We should come up with ones for traders.
Every time I get into a trade, it just pings that alert. It'd be so annoying.
Yeah. That's the alert signal. Run it up, baby.
Stop after stop after stop, like shit.
Yeah. setting up this potty for us.
Cool. For those asking, I'm not in a trade. I want to get long though. I'm trying to get long. Holy fuck. Jeez. It's time I start buying this. I'll buy down into 13, have these like super wide stops. I don't know where I'm gonna possibly get a fill, that's why I'm just. Did that not fill? Okay.
What for you?
Yeah, it was just. I sort of like tried to market into this and it just like didn't do anything. Okay, never mind. We're good.
You got one.
Yeah. Woo!
Start calling the Lambo dealership. I need to
I
make
know.
an appointment.
I have to get a 100 point move on this to be able to afford the monthly payment for 1 month.
You don't need a monthly payment, buddy. You're gonna buy it outright with that one lot.
Whoa, jeez, where are we going with this S&P?
You stupid amount of money.
This NAS didn't really pull back to where I wanted it. We're going for all-time highs, baby. Into like 1920, if you're multi-lotted on this, it's an interesting area to probably cut some because it was an area where they offered fairly heavily the first time through.
So you gonna take a third of your one lot off now, Vicky, or what's going on here?
Yeah, if I could. Can you turn this one line to 10 into 10 micros, please, CME?
Oh my god, imagine there's a conversion button. Convert to micro.
Just flip this into 10, please.
You should call Amp and do that as a prank.
Hang up on me.
Hang up, ban you from trading for the rest of your life.
This guy's been blacklisted for being a fucking idiot. This guy's too stupid to trade. We gotta blacklist him.
That's good.
No offense, but I feel like some people should be blacklisted for being. I feel like you need to have like an IQ check to start trading.
Yeah, the lower the better.
The dumber the better. Load up the account.
Yeah, there has to be a range, you know? Like, you can't be too smart for trading, too. So then, yeah.
How do I decide when to trim or when to sell? Generally, I usually have a bracket, but like if I only got long one lot, like it's up a decent bit. It's up like 6 and a bit points here, which is solid. But uh, I'm pretty up on the day. Like for me, it's like I don't really care too much about this. The stops at break even plus like a few ticks, so run it into a new all time high. That'd be fun. But generally, I usually have a bracket with like multiple lots. I'll take like the majority or half of them off at like about 6 points on the ES, and then try to run the rest of it based on volume. Banter trading. It's who? Don't take this the wrong way. Banter trading. I'm not sure who this is.
What was the comment?
Say, how's it going? It's Baba checking in. My grandmother? Oh, Baba! Oh my god. Baba Yaga. Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Do you have podcast
But,
with them?
yeah. Put the whole name. Baba means grandma in Bulgarian, dude. I'm in Bulgaria right now.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Baba
what the?
Yaga is like a Eastern European thing for the witch.
Yeah.
I guess it.
No, I booked who it was, but like, how's it going? How's it going, Baba?
He went full time with his trading, that's sick.
I know, yeah. It was a great podcast. It was a good time. It was first time talking to him, honestly. Good stuff.
Good dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When I stream a little more, I told him we jump on together and do some stuff like this. I feel like it'd be super fun.
Yeah, man.
Get like different perspectives and whatnot.
100%.
If I get taken out of this ES, honestly, that's fine. That's on me. If you do and you're like, Vic, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me to get out? Then I don't know what to tell you. Nice. Are you long, Baba? Well, I'd assume if you're holding a runner.
Oh, he's in the room?
He's on the live on the stream on YouTube.
Oh, sick. You're live streaming too.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, man. Tell us the howdy.
I think he can hear you. Honest, I feel like everyone can hear you as well because it's feeding through my mic.
You son of a bitch. You set me up. I thought that's why you were here.
I can't control the shit you say.
Wow, I have to take a lot of stuff back, guys. Hold on, I gotta get my publicist here on the line.
That's fair. But I was saying traded 2x long this morning, hard to fade above the bounce. You are correct. However, I faded, and because I just couldn't get my entry. That's the only reason. So, I'm not long NQ. I'm long 1 on the ES right now. And that's about it. See if ES can make a new all-time high.
So folks, in around 10 minutes time, we may be getting the Bed semi-annual money.
Yes, George in the background, bro. Oh, Kyle's here too.
Next week. Just note, when Powell speaks within this capacity, he does speak on behalf of the committee itself. So this will be a report that reflects all of the Fed's views, not necessarily.
I didn't know we were on a first name basis like that.
I'm expecting that around about the top of the Powell.
If I'm down on the day, do I tend to hold my trade for a run for longer? That's a good question because I think people have the tendency to because they're like, okay, this one good trade should make back all my loss, and if it's a good trade, it can. But like, if you're just getting into it just to get into it in the hopes that it runs 20 points to cover the loss, it's probably not going to happen. It's dependent on the trade realistically, right? If things line up, like let's say you're in a position where you're long today and everything's like setting up for the long realistically, then yeah, I'd let it run. But it really depends on the trade. Like, I think a lot of people get into that hopeful aspect. I've been there too, where you're down on the day and you're just like, all right, this one trade should cover all my losses. But like, you gotta really think of it logically in terms of the trade itself. Like being long into an all-time high, like I think it can run realistically. Being short into an all-time high, expecting it to run back down another 20 handles, you're probably not going to be right. Kyle's like, tell George to answer my emails.
Oh, you emailed me? Oh my god, bro. Kyle sends it to an email and it gets flooded. So like, when Kyle emails me, unless I hit the notification, actually like in the real time, and I watch her, so every time I see it, I click it. But something like, Kyle, I'm gonna give you the proper email, bro. Or you can I'm gonna respond right now. Shite. I got caught. Now I know why you were saying somebody on YouTube said Vicky. I'm like, what the hell are you just like reading YouTube comments while you're trading, bro? Did you get bored?
No, yeah. Well, that's what I said. I was like, I was live. Yeah, that's what I meant. I was live in the morning. I don't know, man.
It doesn't change anything. I don't care, but it's funny. Makes for a good joke. Let's go see Kyle's email.
Like 15 emails from him.
All welcome. I love all the emails. Kyle's jokes. Just today I have 48 emails already. Like, why?
Hey, just two. That's fine. the? You guys told me what was the prior high on the ES 23 half or 23 quarter, or what was the exact number? 23 quarter.
Oh, now you care. Now that you're long, you care, eh? And when I asked you before, you're like, somewhere around there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have anything to say to that except for yes.
Pretty much, right?
Not that I was incorrect before. It's in the low 20 somewhere. They keep kind of like throwing in big buys into this high and then getting reoffered into this 21 3 quarter. It's happened twice so far on these tests. Perfect. Everyone, keep buying. Baba bought them over to the chat. Keep buying, keep buying. Help this thing go up. What, 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 what's it called? Where'd you guys get along in Vanta? $51.5 on NQ. That was very precise. Holy shit. That's a good long. At the beginning of the session, I shorted 35 on Nas, and then I shorted 50 on Nas, and you guys got long those areas after it broke higher, I bet. Holy shit, this NQ's running, man.
You guys don't know how dedicated Kyle is from the podcast. He records his episodes at 10 p.m. on a Friday.
Bro,
That's crazy.
I know, these guys try to get me to do that. I'm like, brother, I live in Europe.
You don't want to talk to me at 10 p.m. He's recovering from damaging his liver hours prior.
Oh my god.
Or just coming home, actually.
I've been pretty tame recently.
If he's home at all.
Yeah. New all-time highs on the ES. We were logging to all-time highs. Woo!
Towards device spirit error systems, according to WSJ.
I love that you say that as you move your stop on like 2 ticks above break even.
I didn't even move it. It was just there. I haven't touched it. Like, I don't. For me, like this trade, if it runs all day, it runs all day. If it comes back to take me out at like 3 ticks, like I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, you got yourself a runner. That's good, man.
Like this is like I only filled on one, but like I've had a good day. I've had a good pre-market. Like this is just whatever happens, happens. Don't come for me if you're like, oh, you didn't tell me to fucking close the trade. Just wire me the account information. Let me just start clicking for you as well.
So WSJ reports that Boeing talks device spirit error systems. And Boeing VA seems
You just trade the accounts for people.
That's what they want. I'll let Boxy do this pull. I forgot what time it was. Having so much fun over here. don't know if you guys over at Vant have ever had this, but people sometimes ask me like why I don't close my trades out or I should close my trades. Like it's so irritating.
Why does it trigger you?
Because let me do what I'm gonna do.
Right, man, that's top coffee hour. We will be on the next semi-annual month, obviously, before
Mr. Mike,
It
this guy is taking my shine.
before he will be speaking on behalf of the entire
Yeah,
committee.
it triggers me because it triggers them what I'm doing, you know? That's why. It's like, why are you bad?
Yeah, I think what they're actually saying is like they need help basically understanding the decision, or if they've gotten out and it goes down and you get stopped out, Vicky, no one's asking you then. You know what I mean? No one says why didn't you get out? Well, they do, but I think the question is more so rooted in like, oh, like why aren't you getting out in this moment? Because maybe they took the trade and got out earlier. So I think it's just like
There are those, but there's the other ones as well. I'm talking about the other ones. Those ones I understand. Like, that's fine, but like.
they're trying to learn something. But I hear you sometimes like that, bro. That's why showing the trades is so like I don't know. Like people either love it or hate it. It's like it's helpful,
Nice.
but sometimes I don't want to know. You know?
Yeah, that's fair. No, there's like, obviously, there's times if people ask me why am I not getting out from a perspective of trying to learn is fine, but then there's other perspectives where it's like, why aren't you getting out? You had XYZ profit, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, why are you mad that I decided not to get out?
Yeah. I hear you. Usually, I'm willing to bet those questions come in from people who didn't hold the trade, and you have, you know. So you can't compare your trades to anyone else. It's cool. What's cool about you showing the trades is you can learn from the entries and the exits and the explanations, right? But I don't think. I think the analysis and the entry can be the same, but then it's up to you to manage the trade. Like you know,
Yeah. Like, I can't manage it for you. I understand the reasoning as to asking me why I'm holding it or why haven't I gotten out. Fine, sure, I get that. And, like, I'd love to explain that for sure. But then there's the other side of it where it's just more, like, aggressive. And I'm just like, alright, well, because, but yeah.
Remember, perception's reflection. If there's the aggressive question, it's probably coming from a place where they got hosed and you did it. Now they're wondering, you know?
Yeah. This this other time, like on like social media and shit, I had like the same people, maybe like a group of people constantly ask me like, why didn't you take that trade, or like why aren't you long or short? It's like, god damn, do I have the crystal ball? Am I in every trade?
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, big day. Ooh.
Yeah, you're gonna like these numbers.
I probably will. Let me see. Oh, those are good numbers. I just do this. 78% live positive in the room today. That's really good. 100 on sim, but on the live capital, 78% of traders up. Which is good, right? Solid day. I don't necessarily think this was an easy day per se. I think it was a day where there was maybe like two-ish good opportunities. Like, even though I was trying to lean on the long side, it's just the areas that I was getting that were presented to me weren't ideal, right, for my scenario. The last one was solid though, into these like 14s, 15s. That was like the more aggressive long where they got pretty trapped. That's pretty good. But like, I wanted to see like into those mid 90s earlier, and then a pull back into the 07s after we broke 09s. That didn't happen, so things changed and still pretty good. I don't think it was necessarily that easy, but I think the entries were cleaner on NASDAQ for the long side. I just wasn't on that side of NQ. I missed some of those. But I'll let Boxy wrap it up, and then we'll look at some questions if you guys have any queries about this.
Alrighty, so all market went sideways for a bit, tried to get down to its VWAP and could not, and then just took off. We just put in a Globex high of $80.60. So there's your $80 oil that you were looking for.
Let's go. I'm rich now.
We've since come down a little bit, pulled back, and we're going back sideways again. So if you're going to trade it this afternoon, just monitor your risk trade on TRADEPRO, preserve that capital. Gentlemen, great to be with you. Thank you for another great day, another great week. I hope you, Barbara, and all of TRADEPRO Academy has a great rest of today and a great weekend. And we'll see everybody on Monday. Ciao.
Perfect. Thank
All right,
you,
boss,
Buxy.
brother.
As for the equities, right? Plan today was sticking more to the long side, but as you guys saw, it was a little more difficult for me to get on that until this later move. I needed to see more acceptance to the upside to get a little more convinced if I was going to buy higher rather than waiting for these pullbacks. But solid, all in all. I think that we continue a decent run until probably early-ish afternoon, where there could be some kind of pullback. But it's Friday, right? First day of the month, last day of the week. There's higher expectancy. We're above many balances right now. Nasdaq continue all-time highs. S&P continue all-time highs. There's going to be a lot of just repositioning to the upside at this point. So I'd be sticking to the long side. S&P, as long as we maintain above 5110, should be good. Nas, realistically, a shallow area is the 160, which is very far away from where we're sitting right now, right? I don't necessarily want them too much under that 180 on NQ. So I'm going to be leaning a bit to the long side. Thank you, everyone that stepped in on YouTube Live. I appreciate that. Thanks, Vanta, Baba, and Kyle, and those guys. Go check them out. Thanks for jumping on, keeping the chat very lively. Good to have George back on as well. There was another question that I saw here. Sometimes when I listen to Vic not trailing a stop on a winner, it's the reverse FOMO. He's just mad and wants to milk the crap out. That wasn't much of a question anyways. But there was another question. How do I determine targets, or do I just trail until I stop out? Targets for me generally determined on like prior distribution areas or like big orders that like have come in prior. Realistically, if we're at all-time highs, I kind of just let it run, and if I have multiples, I'll just trail it behind key areas until it stops. Realistically, like Nasdaq's ripping like crazy. S&P should go as well, but it's lagging a bit behind now. This position's up over 12 points right now, which is pretty solid, right? If I had the 3, that'd be a lot better, but whatever. Anyways, let's see what we have in the afternoon. Thanks again for everyone that joined us on YouTube on live. Enjoy the rest of the day and have a happy weekend, everyone. Let's see what we got cooking, and I'll chat with you guys in Discord, and then we'll do this again next week.
Awesome. Have a good weekend, guys. Thanks for having me on, and yeah, enjoy the weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Thanks, guys.